Tim Hawkinson. He's an American sculptor that was born in 1960 in San Francisco, California, and he got his MFA at the University of California in Los Angeles. He works primarily in sculpture, and he's been active in LA with living with his wife since the late 90s, I believe. A common aesthetic component that I've noticed in most of his works is an element of organic form. Whether his subject matter is, modes of transportation or the human form, he always finds some way to combine something structured and rigid and something more organic and free-flowing. An example will be his sculpture called Sherpa, which is a bicycle made of feathers. So here the rigid component is, just thinking about the cycle, the wheels of the bicycle and how they propel forward, and if you roll one down a hill, it's just gonna go so quickly. And then they're heavy also, they're made of metal. And when you think of feathers, you think of, either birds that also move with the same kind of strong direction, or you think of just the individual feathers themselves and how they just kind of float and drift, and they can just kind of get blown anywhere, and they're not really affected by gravity. They're more affected by air circulation than by gravity. So it's interesting to see the contrast between the nature of the materials that a bicycle is traditionally made in and the nature of the material he built his bicycle with, feathers. Another sculpture I really like from him is called Mobius Ship from 2006. This looks like someone took a ship, stretched it out, and wrapped it around to make a ring out of it, and maybe multiple ships even. There are sails and sails sticking out kind of all over the place. It's not a pure circle though. It looks like it was a circle or a triangle, and then it kind of got twisted or warped a little bit. Like, it's not perfectly geometric. It is very organic looking. It looks like it could have been carved from one piece of wood, just the center carved out and then all the details put in. The sails added afterwards, and it's suspended from the ceiling by a rope, it looks like. And it actually kind of looks like the movement of water, the way a wave might crash over, where in some places where the water kind of curves in on the inside, you can actually see tiny little waves that are poking up, about to touch each other, and then where the big wave happens, you can see water just kind of going everywhere, and it wants to break free and go to the sky. And that's what this sculpture looks like. It's kind of like three ships in one that kind of got somehow fused together into this strange circular shape that's hung from the ceiling. I cannot imagine where this idea came from, or his thought process was behind it, or even how he made it, but it makes you go like, oh, what? Same thing when you look at the bicycle made of feathers. You kind of like, you really have a reaction with the piece because you're confused by it. You think you recognize it, and then you're like, what is that? So that reaction, that relationship with the pieces is really intriguing to me. I really enjoyed it. Another piece I really like from Tim Hawkinson is his piece called Bather. It's made of eggshells. It actually reminds me of the Venus of Willendorf, the stone sculpture of the really voluptuous looking woman. But it looks like an egg was really carefully sawed, an empty eggshell, so you blow out the yolk through 2 holes, and then the egg was cleaned out and carefully sawed into these little components that are almost like exactly congruent and then glued together in a symmetrical way to create this strange, almost like spinning top type form. It could be a person that's kind of tucked in, or maybe a person with no arms at all, just with their arms pinned behind their back. I can only see one shot of this, but it looks almost like a photo got cropped out and then mirrored down the center because of how symmetrical the egg pieces that he cut are. They're really symmetrical, and the whole thing is just kind of bloop, 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 which could maybe remind me of bubbles, like a bubble bath. So maybe bathing, yeah, okay, a bather. I just found it really interesting how he transforms materials into something they're not, like this freestanding, heavy-looking, top-heavy structure balancing on this one it looks like it's balancing on one little point in an eggshell. If you think of an egg, it kind of rolls back and forth on a table, and it's hard to make it sit still. So to make a sculpture out of that is insane. I would lose my mind just breaking little eggshells. It looks delicate, but it looks sturdy. I'm thinking maybe he might have filled in the eggshells with cotton or something just to support it and to keep it stable. I just find the way he uses materials and subject matter really playful. The way he'll use a material to do something unexpected or create a form that you kind of don't expect, or you wouldn't even imagine working, and not only in a visual way, in terms of balance, but just structurally how these things hold together. How does a bicycle made out of feathers hold together? How is this huge heavy ring of a ship type thing not, like, how is that shape even possible, the way things are kind of folding in and not breaking, but it's suspended by a cord? How is the cord not snapping? How is this egg sculpture not breaking? He really challenges, but challenges our idea of what's stable and what's right and what can hold, I find. But I'm not scared. I'm not scared of these pieces. I'm not worried about it falling and breaking. I'm more, drawn into it, and I want to look to see, how did he do that? How did he build that? I like that he doesn't use traditional materials. He's not a wood carver. He's not a bronze caster. He'll just take whatever he can find and come up with some kind of idea and kind of skew the form of something, or use the material to build something that the material isn't. And I thought that was really interesting. So I really do like his work.